In the feudal age of Japan, a samurai's word was more than a promise. It was the very fabric of his soul. But what happens when a vow is made before a child is even born? In the northern city of Sendai, a place legendary for its fearsome soldiers, lived a wealthy and hospitable samurai named Hasunuma. Around 35 years ago, his wife gave birth to their first daughter, Oko, a name meaning little lotus flower. On that very same day, Hasunuma's close friend and fellow samurai, Saito, was blessed with a son named Konojo. To celebrate their bond, the two fathers made a solemn pact. When the children reached the age of marriage, they would be wed. As a sacred token of this contract, Saito handed Hasunuma a family heirloom, a golden hairpin. They drank sake to the health of the infants, unaware that fate was about to tear their families apart. 17 years passed. Oko grew into the most beautiful woman in all of Sendai, rivaled only by her younger sister, Ok. Despite many suitors seeking her hand, Oko refused them all. She remained fiercely loyal to the stranger she had been promised to as a baby, even though she had never seen his face. But silence had fallen over the Saito family. Years earlier, Saito had displeased his feudal lord and was forced to flee Sendai with his wife and son. No letters arrived. No news of their whereabouts reached Hasunuma. This prolonged silence broke Oko's heart. She suffered in secret, falling so deeply ill from grief that, within 3 months, she passed away, leaving her family in utter desolation. On the day of her funeral, her grieving mother performed one final act of love. She took the golden hairpin, the symbol of Oko's broken engagement, and pinned it into the dead girl's hair. As the coffin was closed, the mother prayed that this token would unite the spirits of the lovers in the afterlife, since they could never be together in the world of the living. The story should have ended at the grave, but 2 months later, a young man appeared at Hasunuma's gate. It was Konojo. He told a harrowing story of his family's ruin. After fleeing to the north, to the desolate lands of Ezo, his father had died in extreme poverty. Konojo had spent years working as a common laborer just to save enough money to return to Sendai and claim his bride. When Hasunuma told him that Oko was dead, Konojo was shattered. Seeing the young man's sincerity and loyalty, Hasunuma took him in as an adopted son and gave him a small house in the garden. One night, while Konojo was mourning by Oko's memorial tablet, he heard a knock at his door. A woman stood there. She claimed to be Ok, the younger sister. But her behavior was strange. She confessed that she had fallen desperately in love with him from the moment he arrived. She begged him to return her love, or she would die of a broken heart. Fearing a scandal and the wrath of her samurai father, Konojo was trapped. For a month, they lived a secret, stolen romance in the shadows of the garden house. The pressure of the secret became too much. The girl threatened that if Konojo did not flee with her, she would tell her father that he had seduced her by force. Terrified of the dishonor, Konojo gathered their few belongings, and in the dead of night, they escaped to the town of Ishinomaki. They lived as husband and wife for a year, but Konojo's conscience burned. He felt he was committing a grave injustice against the man who had treated him like a son. Finally, he decided to return to Sendai to beg for Hasunuma's forgiveness, no matter the cost. When Konojo arrived at the samurai's gate, Hasunuma greeted him with confusion, not anger. Konojo fell to his knees and confessed everything. "I have come to implore pardon for my sin. I have been living with your daughter, Ok." Hasunuma stared at him in shock. "Do not play jokes with such serious matters," the old man replied. "My daughter Ok has been bedridden and unconscious for over a year. She is so ill she cannot even speak, let alone travel to another city." Konojo insisted he was telling the truth. He claimed she was waiting outside in a palanquin at that very moment. But when the servants went to check, the palanquin was empty. To prove his story, Konojo reached into his robes and pulled out the one gift his lover had given him during their flight. He held up a glimmering object, the golden hairpin. The room went cold. Hasunuma's wife recognized it instantly. It was the very same hairpin she had personally placed inside the sealed coffin of her dead daughter, Oko. Suddenly, a voice rang out from the inner rooms. Ok, who had been in a coma for a year, stood up in her bed, healthy and vibrant. But it was not OK who spoke. It was the spirit of Oko. She revealed that she had taken her sister's form because she could not rest until her father's promise was fulfilled. I assumed the form of my dear sister OK, the spirit said, and for 1 year I was happy in the body of my husband Konojo. Now my spirit is at peace. As soon as the words were spoken, the supernatural force left the room. OK returned to her own self, with no memory of the past year. To honor the miraculous intervention of the spirit, Hasunuma allowed Konojo and OK to marry in truth. The golden hairpin was taken to the shrine in Shiogama, where it became a holy object of devotion. It stands as a haunting reminder of a time when honor was stronger than the grave, and a promise made between friends could reach across the divide of death itself. It makes you wonder, is love just a feeling, or is it a force that can literally defy the laws of nature? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this journey into Japanese folklore, don't forget to like and subscribe for more mysteries from the edges of history.